Josh Kelly comes out of that. He's with Eddie Hearn. Boots is with Eddie Hearn. That's a possibility. Josh Kelly has a title, and Boots is a legacy fighter. He wants to be undisputed. But I'm told, more importantly, that right now there are talks going on between Eddie Hearn and Louis DeCubas regarding a Boots Ennis Fundora fight for November or December of this year. There are talks going on.
Him against Fundora, great fight. But I picked Fundora. Fundora it's been improving and getting better. Since he lost his fight and then became champion, he's getting better and better and better every time he fights. He's 6'8", 9", whatever, 6'9".
6'6", but still tall.
Tall motherfucker.
He hits hard, yeah.
He's got good power. And, you know, he's been knocked out, but how easy...
Mendoza.
Yes, but how easy are you gonna connect? How easy are you gonna, you know, it's not gonna be...
I'm not sure. I think Boots stopped Fundora within like 3 rounds, like on some Hagler Hearns, just brutality. Yeah, I think he's just too big of a target. And I'm telling you, Mills, Boots.
4 weeks, boxing fans have been wondering who Jaron Boots Ennis would target next, and now the answer has finally arrived. Boots' father, Bozy Ennis, has confirmed the team's next objective, immediately shaking up the entire 154-pound division. Once mandatory obligations are completed, the plan is to pursue a blockbuster showdown against towering champion Sebastian Fundora in December. This is far more than another title fight. It's a fascinating stylistic clash that has analysts sharply divided, with many believing Boots could be taking the biggest risk of his professional career.
Listen, to Boots was next. Boots already sound on Fundora. I think Fundora is one of the best fighters in that division, and Boots sound Fundora. So Fundora said he's going to fight Boots. So it'll probably be in December. Probably be. I'm just throwing it off because Fundora going to fight now. I think he's going to fight what, next month, next week?
No, not next week. But I know he wants to fight as mandatory before anything else.
Yeah,
so it's still going to be a little. They haven't picked the date as far as I know.
Oh, I thought it was next. But I thought it was next month.
Oh, it might be the August 22nd card. And maybe you know more than me. I don't know.
But if it is, though, that's good enough. Still good enough time for him to fight Boots.
The road toward that potential December showdown has already included plenty of frustration behind the scenes. Bozy Ennis didn't just reveal that Fundora was now the main target. He also confirmed that discussions with Virgil Ortiz Jr. are no longer being considered at this stage. According to Bozy, Team Ennis worked hard to make the Ortiz fight happen earlier, but they believe Ortiz and Oscar de la Hoya allowed negotiations to drag on until the opportunity disappeared. Now that interest has returned from the opposite side, the Ennis camp has no desire to change direction. Their attention remains firmly fixed on the division's tallest champion, making it clear that Boots intends to follow his own path rather than wait for anyone else.
You know, a name you didn't say is Virgil Ortiz.
Yeah, but we don't even think about him now. He made us wait. When Boots got in the ring, said we going to fight, sign a contract, and then all of a sudden, him and De La Hoya fell out, and now they all back together again. So what do you think that was? You know what I mean? At that time, they must didn't want to fight him, but you want Soundy. You want someone come on in the ring and all that stuff. So, you know what I mean? I ain't talking nothing bad about him, but that's the way it seemed to everybody now. You know what I mean? So he's on the back burner.
So he's kind of back of the line as far as you guys are
on the back burner. But you heard with Boots. Boots want to unify the title, all the titles. That's undisputed. And once we do that, you know what I mean?
Facing Sebastian Fundora presents a challenge unlike almost anyone else in boxing today. Boots enters every fight with explosive athleticism, lightning-fast combinations, and elite-level ring intelligence. Standing across from him, however, is a 6'5" southpaw armed with an incredible 80-inch reach. Fundora doesn't depend on his height alone. He knows how to use every inch of it by applying non-stop pressure and maintaining constant activity. The matchup creates a fascinating contrast between speed and precision on one side and overwhelming size with relentless offense on the other, making it one of the most unique fights the sport can offer.
In both ways. I can outbox him and I can bang, for sure. Because, I mean, we know how this guy fights, Xander fights. He's a good boxer, great boxer, smart boxer, but he's a boxer. He doesn't like to bang. He's the bigger guy, but, I mean, that's not something he's comfortable with. You see the condition, it wasn't meant for that. If he would have boxed, I mean, I guess he would have lost. He thought this guy had too much punch, or whatever the case, he didn't want to box him. He didn't want to give him his time. So, but when the second he had stepped it up, the pressure, he got tired himself because he didn't train that way. He doesn't fight that way. we could fight both ways. There's no excuses, right? Now there's the zone, there's no excuses. I mean, not that I ever give you guys an excuse, but, you know, there's all these fights. There's a lot of money to be made, man. The money's on the table. These guys roll into FEMA, you never would. I would never. They're friends. Like, I wouldn't have expected that fight, but because they fight on the same network now, it only makes sense. And sense makes dollars.
Not everyone believes Boots can overcome those physical advantages. Several respected voices throughout boxing see this as an extremely dangerous assignment. Veteran trainer Robert Garcia has openly questioned whether the matchup is the right decision, arguing that Fundora has historically struggled most against aggressive body punchers who are willing to fight on the inside. Since Ennis often prefers movement and tactical boxing, Garcia believes Fundora's relentless pressure could create far more problems than many fans anticipate.
Showed the heart, the skills, the power to be able to compete and dominate against any of the top 4-pounders. But he also showed that he gets clipped and he got hurt. So him against Fundora, great fight. But I picked Fundora. Fundora it's been improving and getting better since he lost his fight and then became champion. He's getting better and better and better every time he fights. He's 6'8", 9", whatever, 6'9".
6'6", but still tall.
Tall motherfucker.
He hits hard, yeah.
He's got good power, and you know he's been knocked out. But how easy?
Mendoza.
Yes, but how easy are you gonna connect? How easy are you gonna? You know, it's not gonna be easy. Plus,
Erickson Lubin had some success too.
Plus, like I said,
but he still beat him.
Yeah. But this was before he became champion. Now that he's champion, he's getting better and better and better. So
Former world champion Shawn Porter has also expressed concerns, although his focus isn't directed entirely at Boots himself. Porter has questioned whether Team Ennis consistently develops game plans tailored to each opponent or if they occasionally rely too heavily on Boots' remarkable natural talent. Against an opponent as unusual as Fundora, Porter believes detailed preparation and tactical adjustments could be just as important as raw ability.
Terrence Crawford, your boy, Terrence Crawford, he was asked today on Twitter, who wins, Sebastian Fundora or Boots? And he said Fundora.
Right.
Do you think he beats the two thoroughbreds of the division who may not have straps right now, but Ennis may very well have them in 3 months, but Ennis and Ortiz, there's a reason why that fight was considered one of the best fights in boxing and the best fight in the division, because they're two elite thoroughbred fighters. Mm-hmm. Do you think the dark horse now, Sebastian Fundora, beats both of them? Do you agree with Terrence Crawford that he beats Jaron Ennis? See, now this performance makes you do just that, and that's the credit to his performance.
Yeah,
I think that speaks volumes of how good he looked. Mm-hmm. Is now we have to do that long pause, long thought.
Boots looks like he's supposed to beat Sebastian Fundora because he's so fast, because he's so electric, because he's shown tremendous power, because he's shown so many different movements and techniques, and everything jumps off the screen when it's Bozy Ennis. But then when you got, like I always like to say, another weapon standing across from you, negating some of the things you do, forcing you to turn off some of the stuff you do. Now, here's the thing that makes this guy dangerous to Boots. What I feel I know about Boots, I don't know if they game plan. To me, it seems like Boots is like, and Dad Bozy, we just gonna get you ready. Can't nobody beat you. Well, sometimes you gotta get ready for the guy across from you. And what I now know about this dude, he getting ready for who's across from him. And that's why I'm breathing like that, because I know without a shadow of a doubt, he's going to be ready. He's going to have the right weapons, and he's going to be calling on the right weapons all night long. I have no doubt about that from this dude right here. And I know with all 16 plus weapons that Boots got, Boots be like this.
Yeah.
You know, you got to, bruh. With this one right here, it's got to be, all right, shotgun. Don't. All right, stab him. All right, done. You know what I mean? Like, we got to be pulling out the right things at the right time. We got to be prepared to come to the ring with 8 weapons that we know we need against.
Another reason this matchup has generated so much excitement is that Fundora is no longer the same fighter many fans remember. Analysts such as Paulie Malignaggi and Shawn have noted that his style has evolved considerably. Instead of constantly marching forward and exchanging punches, Fundora has become much more patient and disciplined. He's learning to maximize his tremendous reach, manage distance more effectively, and keep dangerous opponents at the end of his punches. Rather than relying solely on toughness, he's developing a smarter boxing approach that could make him an even more difficult puzzle to solve.
Yeah, Fundora is another one that makes a lot of sense, but it would be an outside of the promotion fight. So I think before you make the Fundora fight, I think you make the Kelly fight first. You know, I think Fundora can be the culmination. You know, like I said, especially that Kelly's hot at the moment. He just, like I said, he won that IBF title in an upset. I think the Fundora fight is probably an expected super fight. Like I said, Kelly, there was one time a lot expected of him, but now because of the way he won the title in an upset and he wasn't a lot of expected of him, Ennis and Kelly isn't a super fight, but it's still a big fight. Ennis is exciting TV every time he fights. He's a guy who you know is starting to become must-see TV regardless. I think he sells pretty well on the East Coast anyway. I don't know with the Kelly fight if it winds up in the UK or if Kelly has to come to the US to fight Ennis. But again, we talk about what's next for Jaron Ennis. That has to be next for Jaron Ennis. What has to be next for Jaron Ennis, I think, is Josh Kelly. It's the easiest fight to make. There's not a lot of complications in making that fight. You make that fight, and then from there you go into the Fundora fight. You know, depending on how Ennis does and looks against Kelly. Because again, Ennis looks terrific every time he's fought. And so that's why he is this budding star. But when you are a budding star, there's also so much expectation for you to look good every single time out. So we'd have to make sure that Ennis stays consistently looking really great so that he can move on into the picture with Fundora possibly. And Fundora, of course, is a very difficult guy to deal with. Listen, Fundora is going to be difficult to deal with for anybody. And so Ennis and Fundora, I really, really would get excited for Ennis and Fundora. That's a really good fight. And for me, that's not an easy fight for either of them. That's a tough fight to call, man. I don't know. I would love to know what some of the comments think at home. And don't be biased about just because one guy you like one guy over the other. I'm talking about seriously, from a boxing perspective. Ennis and Fundora. Listen, Fundora is an awkward fight for anybody because of his height and the power that he's got at that weight. But really, to break it down, it would be interesting and it's a really weird, strange fight to try to figure out who has the advantage there, you know, because Ennis is streaking, but Fundora also seems like he's getting better.
Despite those concerns, many respected analysts still believe Boots has the ideal skill set to dethrone the champion. Tim Bradley has repeatedly highlighted Ennis' explosive footwork and powerful body attack as the keys to victory. However, Bradley also believes success will require Boots to leave his normal comfort zone behind. Instead of boxing from long range, he'll have to close the distance, absorb pressure, and fight aggressively on the inside while maintaining disciplined defense throughout the entire contest.
Could give Boots a run from his money. He could. And I only say that because of his attributes. Not because of his boxing skills. It's because of his attributes. That's why. This guy has, and it's Sebastian Fundora. You guys know who he is. He's a southpaw too, right? He has range, he has volume, he has punching power as well, okay? He knows how to keep his distance. He's difficult. I know he's been knocked out before. I know that. But you gotta go through a dang rain of fire to be able to get close to this guy if he don't want you to get close. Now, everybody's saying, well, Thurman was supposed to get whooped. I told y'all Thurman was gonna get whooped too. Y'all heard it here too. Y'all said he gonna get whooped. Okay? But I was studying the film the other day, and Boots has the style that I believe that can give him fits because of his elusiveness. And Boots is quick on the trigger. He's not as long as this guy, but he's not, he got about 74. This other, Fundora has about 80-inch reach. But he has a quick first step. He throws combinations. He is a risk taker. He's a hell of a body puncher. He has a large toolbox, I think, that can give a guy like Fundora.
Gary Russell shares a very similar opinion regarding Boots' chances. He believes Ennis possesses the athletic ability necessary to break down a fighter like Fundora, especially because of his speed and sharp body punching. At the same time, Russell admits that executing such a strategy carries enormous risks. To consistently reach the body, Boots must work his way through Fundora's extremely long punches, forcing him to combine offense and defense at the highest possible level from start to finish.
It'd be hard to be unbiased, but Fundora is such a difficult puzzle. He's so long, and he's getting better. He's improving. He's improving. He's learning how to use his size. He's using his jab. He's being more disciplined. He's not taking risks like he used to. Talk about a guy who used to allow people to hit him and then has figured out that you shouldn't do that at the highest level in that Brian Mendoza fight. But since then, he's been very, very good. So, yeah, I can understand why people would see him as the final guy because, again, with those physical advantages and the way that he's getting better, very, very difficult to deal with. You know, you got Boots, who's a fluid, side-switching, counter-punching, killer puncher. You got Virgil, who's a two-fisted destroyer, comes to get you. Fundora is the towering inferno. He's 6'9" or however tall he is. You got Josh Kelly, who's a slippery guy. So you've got a lot of different styles.
One thing about Boots is that he's versatile. He is very versatile. Now, yeah, you probably have kinks in his armor still. Because before the fight even happened, I posted a video. I said, man, look, I'm going with Boots. Xander, he's a tough contender. He's strong. He's eager. He's not going to deviate from the game plan. But Boots, he just freakishly good when it comes to his God-given talent, athleticism, and stuff like that. That's what's going to win him over the fight. But he got to not get hit with a hook. That's what he got hurt with. I saw it based off of the styles. Now, when you talk about styles, Fundora.
Hands down.
Fundora. Hands down. Hands down. He would have to punch up for one. For two, Boots, he really have to go chase his man down. It's always like they either the same height. The styles make it where as though they just like in the center pocket, middle of the ring, and they just going like skill for skill. You know what I mean? With this 7'8" tall guy, he like 7'8". He's not about to stand there. He might, but Boots is really going to have to show a different side of his ability. He's going to have to walk forward. He's going to have to move his head a lot more, not just be defensive discipline, but he's going to have to work in between. He's going to have to be defensive and offensively equally as good. You know what I mean? He's going to have to work it together simultaneously, dealing with Fundora. Because a lot of people forget that Fundora, honestly, he liked to fight in the inside.
Mm-hmm.
In camp, his last fight, when he fought Keith Thurman, it was training him to be a boxer. Like, come on, you're tall, man. I understand you like to shoot your uppercuts and walk in the inside and bully these guys because you're just a bigger man, but you got to be well-rounded. You got to work different angles. You got to be able to go into your bag and do different things. Or we got the height, just keep a person at bay. And I feel like with Keith Thurman, that's what they worked on in camp. In that fight, he showed a lot of different looks. He shot his jab more. He even started shooting feints here and there. You know, he was cutting the ring off the right way. He wasn't just locking his hands and just walking in. He was cutting the ring off, the proper way, and etc. I feel like that.
Predictions surrounding this fight couldn't be more divided. While many expect 12 grueling rounds of non-stop action, trainer Stephen "Breadman" Edwards believes the contest may end much sooner than most people think. Edwards has boldly predicted that Boots could stop Fundora within the first 3 rounds. His reasoning centers on Fundora's defensive weaknesses, arguing that despite his massive size, he remains a large target with limited head movement. Against a precise puncher like Ennis, Edwards believes those defensive openings could become costly almost immediately.
How does this fight look now that, Fundora is looking at this fight? Obviously people talk about him being the top guy. It's crazy because it's like Fundora is good in the inside too.
I think Boots, people are not going to like this, right? I think Boots could get Fundora out there early. Because I think that stylistically, Fundora is too big of a target. And you give a sharpshooter like that a big target, he's going to be able to hit him anywhere. He's not going to be able to miss him. Boots those real good looping shots. Fundora's using his jab more and he's using the distance more, but he still can't move his head. Nobody 6'6" can move their head. That was the thing about Xander that I was trying to tell you, Mills. I said, bro, We keep talking about Boots' defense. Xander don't move his head. Xander moves his feet. He don't move his head. His head
I've
snaps
been saying that,
back.
but I said that in our interview. I said that
And I'm
he's
like,
more
oh,
of a-
man. The media keep missing this. They keep talking about one dude defense, but the other dude gets hit constantly over and over with straight punches. With Fundora, he's been using his distance better, but his sense of anticipation as far as the punches coming in is pretty much the same. So he's a difficult guy. He has a very unique skill set because he's 6'6" with a jab and he has heart. But we got to remember, Fundora was knocked out brutally by Brian Mendoza. Like, that really happened. Everybody wants to act like it didn't happen, but it happened. And I think Boots, I'm not sure. I think Boots stopped Fundora within like 3 rounds, like on some Hagler Hearns.
This potential December showdown represents far more than a single championship opportunity. According to Bozy Ennis, it's only the first step in a much bigger long-term plan. If Boots successfully defeats Fundora, the goal is to capture every major world title at 154 pounds before eventually moving up to another division. Beyond that, another enormous opportunity could also be waiting. If Errol Spence Jr. handles his own future business, a blockbuster clash with Boots has the potential to become one of boxing's biggest events. That's exactly why December carries so much importance. One defeat could completely derail the undisputed championship roadmap that Team Ennis has carefully planned.
It's crazy. You got Josh Kelly. You got Xander Zayas, who's unified. Jaron Boots Ennis could be fighting Ortiz. Jamel Charlo's name is ringing bells from coast to coast. You got everybody at 154 getting busy. Fundora and Thurman going to be scrapping. Zoo is back bubbling. I mean, Murtazaliev took a loss, but he had some inactivity. Doesn't matter, man. Josh Kelly deserved to win. Then there's rumors about Errol Spence coming back. So much talent at 154. It's crazy right now. You know what I'm saying? Just got to sit back and see how it all comes together. But I'm telling you, just from watching everybody perform this past weekend and what I know about the other fighters, like Jaron Boots Ennis really has a chance to go on and become undisputed. I'm gonna tell you who I think is the biggest threat for Jaron Ennis. This may shock you, but I gotta put some respect on Sebastian Fundora's name. Fundora is a problem, man. That dude is 6'6", like a goddamn giraffe with boxing gloves, and he can hit. So Jaron Boots Ennis, man, I think he's going to do very well. But if you ask me, I think Jaron Boots Ennis handles everybody. I think he runs into a serious problem with Fundora. I want to see how he breaks down that problem right there. The 6'6" problem, 80+ inch reach problem. How is Jaron going to handle that? Now, I think that's who's going to be the last two standing is Jaron and Fundora. But nonetheless, at least in the workup to that, let's enjoy what's going on because there is so much happening. Matter of fact, Josh Kelly just got invited to come to Puerto Rico and fight Xander Zayas. And Boots could fight anybody, just Hearn.
The biggest question now is whether Sebastian Fundora's extraordinary size, improved discipline, and evolving style will finally provide Boots with the toughest challenge of his career, or whether Ennis will once again prove that elite skill, athleticism, and ring intelligence can overcome even the greatest physical advantages. Whatever the result, this fight could reshape the future of the junior middleweight division. Share your prediction in the comments below.